and now we're watching it really heavy now. People grift to a side politically is so funny to me.
It's wild. We know who these people are.
Yeah, like if
we know who these comedians are. Like we're talking about comics, and we're just like, there's people doing so well with this grift.
Yeah.
That you go that like, we're all just sitting here like in disbelief.
Liking pictures of his fucking elk meat is gay as.
What if you like elk meat?
You don't like elk meat.
I love fucking
When's
elk
the last
meat.
time you ate
What
elk
if you want to stay in
Tuesday.
his good graces? Oh,
Finally, some honesty from Joe.
no, I like his politics the best.
I do too.
Yeah, I feel like
I like how in touch he is with the average man. That's my favorite part about Rogan. He's just like one of us.
I'm there for the riffing. I love the riffing.
All right, so it seems like every week now there are more and more comedians roasting the Rogansphere for being out of touch on funny grifters. I mean, it seems like most of the comedy scene outside of Austin just thinks Rogan and his crew are a joke now. You know, once they started focusing more on podcasting than stand-up and prioritized making money over being a respected comedian and started interviewing politicians and oligarchs, that was the beginning of the end. Now we see a lot of other comedians don't really have much respect for them anymore. I mean, some of the Rogansphere guys are barely even stand-up comedians at this point. You know, they're mainly podcasters, and stand-up comedy is just a side thing. I mean, I never hear anyone say anything good about Theo Von, Tim Dillon, or Joe Rogan's stand-up, and it's clear they don't really care about it that much because they don't need to. As long as they have a popular podcast, they can sell tickets and get Netflix specials. So they have more of an incentive to focus on their podcast over their stand-up. Like, podcasts have really helped comedians promote themselves. You know, now they're making more money than ever, but also it made it so comedians don't really need to care about their stand-up act anymore, which Anthony Jeselnik explained pretty well during this interview he did while promoting his last special. You know, he's been a big critic of the Rogansphere and the negative impact it's had on comedy.
I think a lot of comics have gotten bad because they make too much money from their podcast. And so they're putting too much effort into that. I want my effort to go toward the stage.
Oh, you think it's been a little poisonous for the industry? The cotton candy of how sloppy you can be in a form 3 times a week,
Absolutely.
as opposed to the way you do it, which is clearly sculpted very carefully.
I mean, the podcast isn't sculpted. We're just going out there and doing it. But I think people have made so much money from podcasting that it's made stand-up comedy as an art form worse. I think that's without question is happening. People are making more money. If your success is making money, you're doing just as well. But if it's about making the art of stand-up comedy great, it's suffering. It's gotten bad.
And it just keeps getting worse because not only do they care more about podcasting than stand-up, but now they also care more about politics than stand-up. Because I guess just goofing around with your comedian friends on a podcast isn't enough for these podcasters either. You know, there's still more money out there. So they had to become political grifters and start interviewing and hanging out with politicians and tech oligarchs, which I think most comedians outside of Austin and Rogan's inner circle are just laughing at, especially the New York comedians like Dan Soder, who is even pretty friendly with Rogan and has been on his podcast. He's like, what the hell's going on? You know, because he personally knows these comedians. So he's like, to see them get political all of a sudden is wild because I know what they used to be like. I know they're full of shit and they're just doing this for money.
If you're a fan of a comic that just became political,
you have to wonder. We know who these people are.
Yeah, like
we know who these comedians are. Like we're talking about comics, and we're just like, we're all just sitting here like in disbelief. Like, and it's like
the absolute ignoring of evidence from the past is mind-boggling. Where you go, well, he didn't act like that, and then all they have to do is go like, yeah, I didn't like the woke mind virus. And you go, that's not even how you talk. And then you see the people that switch and you go, who are you?
The people that like got involved, like after having no opinion.
That's the
craziest one.
If you ever see me go political, something is wrong. I have lost the ability to write a joke, and I am clawing for money. Or I owe someone a lot of money.
This is what people. But they must be making so much money.
That's what it is. And then what it is now you're chasing the money, so you're just willing to say whatever you need. And by the way, both sides, far left, far right, it always crumbles. And watching them return.
So I think a lot of these comedians just got greedy, and I think they wanted to be part of the big club that George Carlin used to talk about. You know, they wanted to hang out with the elites. They wanted to be at the presidential inauguration. They want to get flown out to the Middle East with the president. They want to have a seafood dinner with J.D. Vance. You know, they just want to be part of the club. They don't care about their stand-up act at this point or if their podcast is being used as a propaganda tool. They just want money and to be part of the elite. even if that comes at the cost of comedians thinking they're a joke now. It seems like most comedians outside of Rogan's circle just think the whole thing is really bizarre and is hurting the comedy podcast scene. And this is just what they say on podcasts. So off air, they must be talking a lot of shit.
Comedy podcasting is entering this world of like news or something.
Yeah.
And people are taking it serious. They're all having like politicians on.
journalists.
Tim got fucking interviewed by like CNN.
Yeah.
And I saw that they had Bernie on Schultz's show.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
It's not
Tensions are high down there. It's a weird space
Yes.
because people are there, and now there's they're all next to Trump. We're like a step away from the presidential election. Everything's divided and weird fucking hemisphere where these comedians are in suits at a presidential inauguration.
What do you feel, and podcasters, what do you feel about politicians and billionaires who've appeared on podcasts of your peers to try to leverage comedy for their own goals?
All I can say is personally, I would never do it. I would never have somebody come on that's running for fucking president with my intellect. I'm not going to sit there and be like, what's your foreign policy? Like I would be like within 3 minutes, dude, what was your favorite Super Bowl? And then people be like watching it going, I like that Super Bowl too. I'm going to vote for this guy. It's just like, it's just so far beyond my wheelhouse. Like I am just way beyond. Like somebody said to me one time, I go, Bill, you're a really smart guy. And I go, yeah, in a sports bar. You put me in a sports bar and you want me to talk about 70s and 80s sports. I am scoring very high.
Yeah.
All right. You put me in like that form to have to interview somebody that is going to run for president, and then as the sports bar guy, you're going to see like, yeah, this guy did go to summer school a lot. So, or whatever. It's like you're a smart guy. Compared to what?
And one of the funniest things about this whole transition from comedians to political commentators is seeing what Theo Von has turned into. He had a good thing going. People thought he was down to earth and humble. But then, of course, he decided to start interviewing the tech oligarchs like Mark Zuckerberg and Sam Altman. And then, of course, politicians like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. And he also started to get really serious about politics. Like after Trump and J.D. Vance had that meeting with Zelensky where they lectured him, Theo put out this tweet and he said, tell Zelensky to give us our tax dollars back and get the fuck out of here. Disrespectful guy using our money and using his own people. So he's not even trying to be funny anymore. If you're going to talk about politics, at least pretend to be a comedian still. Like, I don't even know what this is anymore. And of course, he ended up deleting that tweet after it got a ton of backlash. So it's just gotten so bizarre, and it doesn't work well with his shtick. But also, I guess he kind of gets away with it because of his shtick. People see him do all this and just think, oh, he's still just a genuine down-to-earth guy because he acts like a teenager, I guess. But I always have to remind people, this man is 45 years old. Like, he's the oldest one in this picture, and he definitely uses his dopiness to his advantage. Like, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he was literally crying about Palestine, and then afterwards went out to eat with Jared Kushner, who wants to demolish Palestine and turn it into a resort, and is also good friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. And same thing with Trump. He's as pro-Israel as it gets, and Theo had him on his podcast, helped him get elected, went to his inauguration, and went to the Middle East with him just a couple months ago. So it's really hard to take him seriously. And in Theo's post about Palestine, he said, what are we doing with a heartbreaking? And this comedian Zach Fox called him out on it. And he posted a picture of Theo, Ivanka, and Jared. And he's like, what are we doing? Bro, ask them, not us. Because it's hilarious for Theo to be like, guys, what are we doing? Like, people should feel responsibility and we should do something about it. Like, the average person has any say in what's going on. But then he goes and has dinner and is friends with the people that are literally orchestrating what's going on, the people that actually have the power. Like, if he really cares that much about what's going on in Palestine, I don't know if he'd want to be friends with Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. But Theo, he loves playing both sides. Like, also, he had J.D. Vance on a couple months ago, and he didn't ask him about the Epstein list. But then afterwards, he tweeted basically, why did J.D. Vance change his opinion on the Epstein list? And again, it's like, why didn't you ask him? It's so funny. He's friends with these people and hangs out with them. But then afterwards, he acts like he has nothing to do with them and they don't even know each other. I mean, also, he tweeted at J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and said, can we get some aid to Gaza now? children are starving to death. We are America. This isn't about politics. It's about humanity. And then this other comedian, Gianmarco Ceresi, I think is how you say his name. He's like, why don't you ask them when they're on your show? You know, again, it's like, dude, you're friends with these people. You hang out with them. You have them on your podcast. And then afterwards, you're like, what's going on, guys? We need to do something about all these issues. So, of course, we're seeing more and more comedians make fun of him now because the guy's just a complete goofball, which he always has been. But now he's trying to be like a serious goofball, and it's just not working well. Like, also, Dan Soder has been making fun of him recently, too. And I'm sure people saw Mark Maron had a bit about him during his special. And I honestly thought more people would be defending Theo and calling Mark just bitter and jealous, which there are a lot of people still saying Mark is bitter, but they also admit that it was a funny bit, and I don't see many people defending Theo.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Vaughn's podcast. And Theo would be like, see, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog. Hey, Hitler. Do you want to apologize to all the Jews right now on my show? No? I get it.
So between that and Bill Burr trashing, not him directly, but obviously he's someone Bill's referring to, Theo is probably going through it. I mean, he's not very good at handling criticism or people making fun of him, and he's very emotional too. And he was already getting shit from comedians, but now that it's coming from two really well-respected comedy veterans, you know, it's got to be tough. And I don't know how he feels about Mark Maron, but he still loves Bill Burr. You know, that's one of his favorite comedians. But unfortunately, his fans hate Bill. Like earlier this year, Theo tried to put out a tweet praising him, and I think he just got so much backlash, he ended up deleting it. And it was pretty surprising that he retweeted this. Like, this was shocking. But I think, again, this is him trying to play both sides and try to act like he's not really in the same group as Rogan. So the tweet said, Bill Burr's an absolute legend for this. Roasting conspiracy theorists like Joe Rogan who want to blame the LA wildfires on homeless people. You can see how uncomfortable Jimmy Kimmel became as soon as he said free Luigi. And Theo retweeted that and said, Bill Burr, ladies and gentlemen, the best. So it's hilarious that Theo's praising Bill for trashing people like Rogan. But I don't know what Theo had to say about the wildfires, but I'm sure Bill puts Theo in the same category as Rogan, obviously.
There's an ugliness that's out there right now where, you know, there's certain podcasts out there that if you're a racist, if you're an anti-Semite, if you're a psycho-nationalist and you want a softball interview, there's podcasts out there where you can, and they will laugh at your fucking bad jokes and just give you this pass.
So I'd imagine Theo's probably one of the main people Bill's referring to there, but I don't know if he has the self-awareness to realize it. Let me know what you guys think, though. And if you want to hear about the first time Bill went on Theo's podcast, it was like one of the cringiest things ever. I talked about that over on Patreon. I also talked about Tim Dillon exposing Joe Rogan's handler and Sam Hyde crashing out on Harlan Williams, which was wild. Make sure you check that out. And there are over 140 other exclusive videos, so if you're a fan of the channel and you want more content, it's definitely worth it. I'll put a link in the description.
Okay. Rogan has an opportunity to do the funniest thing of all time.
No one's ever said that.
Rogan can just...
I'm just kidding.